MovieWeb.com.
Begin with actually about the project and how you got involved in it, and when you heard about the story, what you thought about the story, and the real life story, and how you got involved in the project.
Well, basically I got involved through my friend Rupert Preston, who is a distributor of all my films in the UK. He's also a producer now. He had acquired the rights to make this movie, and for many years people have been trying to make a film about Bronson in the UK. And he called me and said if I was interested in looking at this story, possibly make it. And I said no. I was not going to make another movie about violent men. I just done the Pusher trilogy, and I thought, oh my God, prison movie on top of that. I wasn't interested. But two things happened. I needed money to buy out my partners in Valhalla Rising, which is a film I just done, so I could own it. And I suddenly become very intrigued by doing a prison movie, because it's a difficult genre. It's all about getting out. So could I find another way to make it? And I read his biography, and in there he smashes things and is very angry, but he does say, maybe I always wanted to be here. And that for me became, oh, this is the way. It's not a movie about escaping outwards, it's about escaping inwards. But why would somebody escape inwards in prison? What would be the motivation? And the only thing I could see as a red thread, because there's no specific reason, because it's, I'm not making a biopic, was his need of fame. This guy wanted to be famous, and prison became his stage. So it's almost like an allegory for an artist's own journey to fulfill what they want to do. And once I had those two things, I said, I got it, I want to write it, and then we'll shoot it.
Were there any liberties that you took with his true life story that you had to change or adapt to making a film?
Again, not wanting to make a biopic, I kind of took a lot of artistic license. But what I did do is that I didn't do anything that didn't happen to him. But some of the times what did happen to him, I was heightened, or I would change a little bit. So it was more like, because I conceived the movie like a one-stage monologue. A man coming out on stage and talking about his life, because my God, how would you make a film about solitary confinement? Shoot in a cell, not another one of those. And that's been very done before with that other movie, whatever, I can't remember what it's called. But with this one, it was all about visualizations. So it's about a man on stage trying to visualize his life in a solitary confinement. So that's why the film is designed the way it is. And then I would have certain things that did happen in his real life, certain characters that he did interact with, like his fight manager, who called him Charlie Bronson. Allison, he did have an affair with a woman called Allison. He did take his art school teacher as hostage. I changed the whole outcome of the hostage thing, but those things were all true.
Okay. Well, what makes Bronson an interesting character, an interesting subject for a film?
Bronson himself doesn't make anything interesting, and it's not worth making a movie about. Neither does Michael Peterson, I think. But the transformation is what I find very interesting. The allegory of what that means, and how someone is able to travel from being a real person to their own mythology, and they're actually doing it all by themselves. That I found very fascinating.
Can you talk about the importance of Tom Hardy and his performance and finding the right actor to bring this to life?
Well, Tom Hardy was, how else could you not? Look, there were many actors. I spoke with many actors. I spoke with some stars. I want to thank Jason Statham and Guy Pearce for not taking the role, because I end up with Tom Hardy, which I think is a powerhouse of an actor, and I really like him as well now. And look, I needed somebody who was able to pull it off as a stage performer, not just as a film actor. And Tom had that quality. He had the chameleon aspect of changing himself into Charlie Bronson, the physical transformation, the logical the mind transformation. And I was basically making a film that was all about the lead actor's performance. So for him and me, it was like a marriage made in heaven, and I very much enjoyed working with him. And I guess in a couple of years, when he's done And I've done a few other films separately. We've talked about doing a movie about Alistair Crowley, Britain's most dangerous man.
Okay. What's this? I'm not familiar with him. What's the story behind that?
Alistair Crowley, if you Google him, you'll probably get 1 million websites devoted to him, was kind of the pre-hippie in the 1930s of England.
Okay.
And he was a man who basically lived in self-indulgence with alternative religions and drugs and sexuality and depravity, and was basically anti-government in the 1930s to such an extent he was proclaimed Britain's most dangerous man. Also 666, the number of the beast. He invented that whole thing.
Oh, okay. And that's something that you and Hardy have talked about perhaps doing in the future?
I called Tom like 6 months ago and I said, you know, we should do Alistair Crowley. Because it's a lot of violence and a lot of drugs and a lot of fucking.
That sounds good. And I was just wanted to ask about Hardy's performance. Is there anything that he did on set that surprised you, that you just didn't expect, came out of left field and just made a performance in a way you hadn't imagined?
Well, I shoot my films in chronological order, so I didn't have an imagination of what it was going to be. We just had to trust each other. And Tom Hardy's the kind of actor who will give you his soul. He will give you his everything in your hands. And you have to treat it with respect, of course, and kindness, because he has to be a human being afterwards. So shooting chronological order was great for him, his performance. But I have to say, one of the things that really surprised me positively was how quickly he was able to adapt, especially to the stage performances, because we had 3 days to make that part of them. We shot the movie for 5 weeks, under $1 million. So we didn't have a lot of time. We just had to dive into it like that. And I have to say, you know, the guy pulled it off immensely.
It's an amazing performance. And then final question I wanted to ask you about, I thought a lot of your shots in the film were really fascinating and interesting, the way you set things up, and a lot of the movie plays out in POVs, and the animated sequence and all that. So I was just wondering about the tone and the mood of the film, and how do you think that added to the final product?
Well, I'm colorblind, so everything has to be contrasted for me to understand and see the colors. So that is the reason why everything is so crushed as well. Also, Larry Smith's style is like that, and that's why I prefer to work with Larry. I don't do storyboards. I just come on set the next morning and just look at around, and then I'll do some matchstick men, and then we'll shoot. I didn't have a lot of time to shoot the movie or money, so I basically shot very few setups, but I did a lot of takes to get it right, and just shoot everything very wide angle with a little bit of a, a little bit down, and usually you're in good shape.
Go and tie that up in a nice little pink bow.
Right, that's enough. He's had enough. Get him out of here. Come on.